August 23, 2010. A wellness check at a typical flat in Pimlico, central London. Colleagues haven't heard from Gareth in a week. Police force their way inside. Inside the bathroom, they find a large red North Face holdall sitting in the bathtub. Inside that bag is Gareth's body, naked and curled into the fetal position. The zippers were pulled together and secured with a padlock from the exterior. Yet when investigators opened the bag, they found the key to that padlock resting underneath Gareth's body. The physical boundaries of the scene eliminate simple explanations. Investigators were left with a locked room mystery that defied the known mechanics of the bathroom. Gareth Williams was a 31-year-old mathematical prodigy from Anglesey, Wales. His talent for high-level mathematics brought him to GCHQ, Britain's Signals Intelligence Agency. He was eventually seconded to MI6 for sensitive counterterrorism work. His job was designed to be invisible, performing roles the public was never meant to notice. Finding an active intelligence operative under these conditions pulled the investigation away from the bathroom and into the classified files of the state. The Metropolitan Police needed to know if a human could actually zip and lock that bag from the inside. They brought in a professional escapologist to attempt it. As this breakdown shows, a standard foldall offers almost no room for a grown man to maneuver. To pull exterior zippers from within, a person forces their hands through a tiny gap. While theoretically possible, extreme contortions and zero leverage make it unlikely. More striking was the lack of physical evidence. There were no fingerprints on the padlock, none on the zipper, and none on the porcelain rim of the bathtub, exactly where someone would have to brace themselves to climb inside. Humans leave traces when they move through a space. The absolute cleanliness of the bathroom suggests a scene that was deliberately wiped down. On the bag itself, forensic teams found partial DNA from at least 2 other people, contributions that did not match anyone involved in the official investigation. At the same time, Gareth had recently been issued a new MI6 identity and was carrying multiple passports in the months before his death. These details of a high-stakes career sat alongside accounts from his private life, like the time his former landlady found him tied to his own bed and had to cut him free. The evidence pulled in opposite directions. The room was too clean for a solitary accident, but the method was too eccentric for a professional hit. In 2012, coroner Fiona Wilcox looked at the total absence of hand and footprints and reached a bold conclusion. Gareth's death was unnatural and likely to have been criminally mediated. 1 year later, the Metropolitan Police disagreed. After a 3-year investigation, they concluded the death was most likely a tragic accident, with no evidence of foul play. This left the public with 2 different truths. Major institutions had looked at the same physical impossibility and walked away with opposite findings. These 2 rulings left the case in a permanent state of contradiction, where the same physical facts were used to justify 2 entirely different conclusions. The inquiry also highlighted a failure of protocol. MI6 allowed an officer in a highly sensitive role to vanish for over a week before anyone raised an alarm. Despite a 2021 review of the evidence, the official cause of death remains an accident with an unclear cause. No one has ever been charged. A mathematical genius who spent his life breaking the world's most guarded secrets died leaving behind a situation that nobody has been able to solve. Was this an elaborate accident or a cover-up the public was never meant to see? Tell us your theory in the comments, and subscribe for more mysteries the world still can't explain. On November 29, 1970, a hiker walking through a freezing stretch of rocky Norwegian terrain, known as Ice Valley, stumbled across an unexplainable discovery. Lying among the rocks was the body of a woman. She had been severely burned, with her face and much of her torso destroyed by fire. Her arms were curled upward toward her chest, fixed in a defensive posture. Investigators arrived and found no wallet, no identification cards, and no clues to her name. Then they looked closer at her clothing. Every manufacturer's tag, on every single piece of fabric, had been cleanly and intentionally cut out with scissors. Whoever this woman was, her physical tie to the world of manufacturing and retail had been meticulously stripped away before she died. Investigators initially considered suicide, finding sleeping pills and a liqueur bottle near the body, surrounded by scattered personal items arranged in a precise, almost ceremonial pattern. But the theory struggled to account for the labor involved in her clothing. The effort required to delabel every scarf and boot suggests a motive that began long before she reached the valley. The scene in Ice Valley wasn't the start of the mystery. It was the final step in a system designed to erase a human being from the world. 3 days later, the search moved to the Bergen railway station, where police located 2 unclaimed suitcases. A partial fingerprint found on a pair of sunglasses inside provided a direct link to the dead woman. The suitcases contained an inventory designed for anonymity: wigs, non-prescription glasses, stacks of foreign currency, and a tube of eczema cream with the brand name scratched off. These bags linked her to at least 8 different fake identities, allowing her to move across European borders under various nationalities. Among her belongings was a notepad filled with columns of handwritten cipher codes. When investigators eventually cracked the cipher, it revealed a meticulous travel log, a record of her movements through various European cities, mapped out in dates and locations. The luggage functioned as a toolkit for active identity management, providing her with the means to overwrite her history at a moment's notice. By tracking her aliases, police found a trail of stays in hotels across Norway under names like Genevieve Lancier and Claudia Nielsen. She claimed to be a Belgian tourist, but her language skills made that difficult to verify. She spoke fluent German and French, but poor English, a mix of fluencies that obscured her true geographic origin. Hotel staff described a guest who paid only in cash and frequently requested room changes until she had a clear view of the entrance or the parking lot. These behaviors suggested us in maintaining strict operational security, prioritizing a line of sight and untraceable transactions over every other convenience. At the time, Bergen was a hub for NATO naval activity, and Norway was testing new missile systems. These Cold War tensions led many to believe she was a professional spy. However, intelligence operatives usually rely on a single, airtight cover. Juggling 8 erratic identities and drawing attention by constantly switching hotel rooms is the opposite of blending in. This has led to alternative theories that she was involved in an international smuggling ring or a criminal network where high-stakes concealment was a requirement for survival. The case remains a paradox. Her behavior seems too chaotic for a professional operative, yet her system of self-erasure was executed with a level of detail that few individuals could achieve alone. In 2016, police and journalists reopened the case to apply modern forensic science to the woman's preserved jaw and teeth. Isotope testing analyzed chemical traces from her childhood food and water. As this map shows, the data points cluster along the French-German border, suggesting she grew up near Nuremberg. The science placed her age at approximately 40 and identified her regional origin. But even with the help of modern biology, investigators have never found a DNA match or a family name. Modern forensics could map her physical history, but the firewall she built around her identity remains intact. She was eventually buried in Bergen under the only title history could give her, the Isdal Woman. No government or family has ever come forward to claim her. The enduring legacy of this case is the success of her effort to disappear. Despite 50 years of investigation, the system she used to erase herself is still working. What do you think happened to the Isdal Woman? Leave your theories in the comments and hit subscribe to join us as we explore more of Europe's strangest unsolved cases.